Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Right, I project the text. So we stopped in chapter 10, verse 30. We finished 30, we can go 31. Pavanah pavatam asmi ramah shastrabhritamaham jhashanam makaraschasmi srotasam asmi jahnavi. So he continues to describe his qualities as vibhutis. We are in the Vibhuti Yoga for Jan and Dawn. I'm saying this Vibhuti Yoga is interesting in one regard, that Krishna describes himself, the Supreme describes himself as present in nature. In what form? He describes all the Vibhutis, yes, of his own, how they can be found, how he can be seen in nature. So among the all purifiers, I am the wind, the purifier. Pavana is purifier and also translated as the wind. I am the wind among the purifiers. I am Rama among those who carry the weapon. Shastra. Shastra is the weapon. Bharit carrying. Shastra bharitamaham. Jhashanam makaraschasmi. And among the alligators, or among the fish, I am the alligator. Well, we do not know what it is because it's a mythical kind of creature of the sea. It could be anything. You know, in Ganges, they have the biggest crocodile. Maybe some of you remember this crocodile farm in Chennai. And the last, the last cage was the Ganges crocodile, the biggest one, huge, like 1.5 meter high. When it lies down, his head is so huge, and it is the biggest, up to 9 meters long creature. And this is saltwater crocodile, so it fits very well to this. It is that crocodile which goes into the sea and hunts the after the sharks. It eats sharks. Can you imagine? Crocodile after the sharks. So that type of crocodile one day came to Pondi, yes?
Yeah, Vladimir, I remember seeing that, and I looked at the mud pit where it was supposed to be, and I couldn't see anything at first, and then I realized that the whole thing was this crocodile. It was just it's just so enormous as you describe. It's
Yeah, it was
wonderful,
absolutely
amazing.
beyond the wildest imagination. So huge, never saw anything. Alligators are small creatures in comparison to this giant there lying down. Yes, it's a powerful creature. And see, I saw how they are feeding him also. The guy comes very close to him. They are friends, as it were, and even can slap him on the nose. So this is Jashanam, of all these watery creatures, Makara. Makara is some kind of mythical creature, most probably. They translate as alligator. I am the alligator among fishes. Well, this is a very approximate translation. So the biggest creature among all of creatures in the ocean. Among the rivers, Srotosam, Asmi Jahnavi, I am the Ganges. Yeah, Jahnavi is again mythical creature, a mythical person, Jahnu, who, as you know, swallowed the river and then he released it. And so that's why she got his name, Jahnavi. She's the daughter of that sage Jahnu. Sagaranam adir antach madhyam cha evaham Arjuna. Evaham Arjuna. So of all the sarganam, of all the sargas, adich, I am the first, antach, the end, the last, madhyam, and the middle, indeed, O Arjuna. Adhyatma vidya vidyanam, of all the vidyas, aham, I am the spiritual or psychological knowledge, let us say. Philosophy, they translate. Spiritual knowledge among many philosophies. Among all the vidyas, aham adhyatma vidya. Adhyatma, it is concerning the self. Vadach, the word, pravadatam aham, of all those who debate, I am the logic, he translates. I am the speech of the debaters or the orators. Of the orators, I am the word. One could imagine that something of this kind one could answer, yes, when we are looking for the divine. Where is the divine in the person who is speaking so beautifully, yes? Most probably in his speech. Or in the one who is has some knowledge. Maybe that is the divine knowledge. So there is always that quintessential quality which we may discover in nature. Aksharanam akarosmi. Among all the aksharas, I am a sound, yeah, the first a of the alphabet. A, I, U, U, and so on. Or of the alphabet, it's also aleph, bets, and so on, is a. And there is a reason for it. Yeah? We quote this in our etymological course on etymology. Why sound a? He chooses to be this sound a, not om, or something else, not some bija mantra, but akara. That means making a simple sound. According to Tantra, all the sounds are produced from this sound a. Yeah? All the sounds are nothing but modulations of a. If we take a as the vibration of vocal cords, like a without any differentiation or modulation, then if I modulated a with the tongue, there will be I. Yes, I can produce e and e with the tongue from a, or I can produce o and u and ow. So all the sounds are nothing but obstructed by the tongue and lips and teeth are. Yeah? That vibration, which is the fundamental to all the sounds. And aham evakshayach kalach dataham vishvatomukhach. I am imperishable time. I am the master and ruler, whose faces are everywhere. Vishvatomukhach. It reminds us of the Purusha Sukta a little, yes? So his hands and faces and legs and are everywhere, thousandfold, yes? Sri Aurobindo has a footnote here. I am imperishable time. God is imperishable, beginningless, unending time. This is his most evident power of becoming and the essence of the whole universal movement. In that movement of time, and becoming God, God appears to our conception or experience of him by the evidence of his works as the divine power, who ordains and sets all things in their place in the movement. Look at this definition. If we go deeper into it, we could even see what Sri Aurobindo wants to say. In his form of space, it is he who fronts us in every direction, million-bodied, myriad-minded, manifest in each existence. We see his faces on all sides of us. It is him looking at us from every look, from every face. Yeah? I read this today and I felt so much from this kind of explanation. Who is God? Imperishable, beginningless, unending time. This is the most evident power of becoming and the essence of the whole universal movement. In that movement of time and becoming, God appears to our conception, to our mind, or experience, to our senses of Him, by the evidence of His works. So it is only through His works that we can come into touch with Him, through His appearance here in the becoming. It is a very good quotation for our course with Marco. Well, that's for Don and Jen. I thought about this. So, and then he continues. Mrityur sarva haraschaham. I'm the mrityu, the death carrying all away. Udbhavascha bhavishyatam. And of all those who have to become, I am the beginning of life, the birth. Kirtich, Shrih, Vakcha, Narinam. Among the women, I am the glory, the fame, the glory, and the word. Smritich, Medha Dharitich Kshama. I am the memory, the wisdom, the steadfastness, and Kshama, the forgiveness. These are all female names. Yeah? All the qualities are in the feminine gender. I will read Sri Aurobindo's translation. And I am all snatching death, and I am too the birth of all that shall come into being. Among feminine qualities, I am glory and beauty and speech and memory and intelligence and steadfastness and forgiveness. And then it continues. Brihat sama tathasna samnam, Brihat sama tatha samnam Gayatri chandasamaham Masanam margashir shoham Ritunam kusumakarach. I am also the great Saman among mantras. He mentioned this before, that he is Samaveda among Vedas, and he is Brihat Saman. Brihat Saman is a part of the Samaveda, is one of the greatest hymns. Great Saman, yeah? The Gayatri among the meters. Among all the meters, he is the Gayatri. So there are many different meters in the Veda. Gayatri, Anushtup, Trishtup, Jagati, and so on and so forth. But he chooses to be Gayatri. Gayatri is 3 stanzas, 3 padas, 8 syllabic padas, yeah, iambic meter. So it's this Agni Mile Purohitam, Yajnasya Devam Ritvijam, Hotaram Ratnadhatamam. This is the meter. Iambic. And among all the months, I am Marga Shirsha. Marga Shirsha, literally, the one, Shirsha is the head, at the head of Marga, at the head of the path. It is one of the first months of the spring. Aham Ritunam Kusumakarach, and among Ritus, among the seasons, I am the spring. And then he continues, Dyutam Chalayatam Asmi, Tejas Tejasvinamaham, Jayosmi Vyavasayosmi, Sattvam Sattvavatam Aham. Dyutam, I am the cheating, literally. or I am the gambling of the cunning and the strength of the mighty. Tejas Vinamaham. Tejas also can be the brightness among the bright. I am resolution and perseverance and victory. Jayosmi, I am the victory. Vyavasayosmi, I am the decisiveness. It's an interesting that he puts two words into Vyavasaya. There is only one word. Resolution and perseverance. It is from Saya, Avasaya, Avasaya, two prefixes in the root san, to obtain. Literally obtaining down in details. So getting it totally with all the details, and that is the resolution and perseverance in one word. Sattvam, I am the sattvic quality, sattvavatamaham, of all who are sattvic. Vrishninam vasudevosmi, among Vrishnis, I am Vasudeva, I am Krishna. It is his name, Vasudeva, because his father was Vasudeva, was short A, and Krishna is Vasudeva with long A, like derivation from his father. Pandavanam Dhananjaya, and among Pandavas I am Arjuna. He tells to Arjuna that he is him among Pandavas. It is, he is the Vibhuti of Krishna. Muninam apyaham Vyasach, and among Munis I am Vyasa. Vyasa, who is the composer of Mahabharata and all the Puranas and all the Vedas. He composed the Vedas. He didn't compose the hymns, but he, how to say, arranged the hymns into the books. He is the arranger. Kavinam Ushanach Kavih. And among Kavis, among the poets, I am Ushanach Kavi. And Ushana is a very interesting Ushanas. He's a very interesting rishi. He is the one who who is known as Shukracharya, yes, as the teacher of the Asuras. There are two teachers. We spoke about this. Brihaspati, the teacher of the gods, and Ushanakavi or Shukracharya is also Brahmin, but he teaches the Asuras. He is their leader. And Shukra, as we know, it's Venus, and Brihaspati is Jupiter. And here we have this clash between Jupiter and Venus in Jyotisha. Yes? Between Thursday and Friday, let us say. Thursday and Friday never go together. The dreams which you have from Thursday to Friday are usually prophetic dreams. So you have to know that. It's a strange thing.
But he wasn't an asura, he was just guiding them, right? He was the Brahman, he was still guiding them with the
Of
sattvic
course,
knowledge, right?
of course, of course. He was bringing knowledge to them that they should be illumined and should change and should be on the path of righteousness and so on, dharmic path. Yes, of course. But between these two, there was always some kind of rivalry, yes, between the Brihaspati and Shukracharya. Most probably Shukracharya was original teacher, because the Asuras are the elder brothers of the gods, yes? They belong to the first creation. And so they had the divine teacher there, and they were considered to be the divine that time, before the secondary gods came into being. Yeah, when these secondary gods came into being, they took onto themselves this kind of nobility to be the gods, and those were considered to be the old gods, the Asuras. And between them there was a clash. That's why Shiva or Rudra was always very merciful to the Asuras and to all these creatures, because he knew that they were the first creators here. They were meant to create this world, but they failed. That's why secondary creation took place and the gods came into play. With Brihaspati. Brihaspati was born. Brihaspati is a new god, and Angiras rishis follow him now. They brought also new gods such as Indra himself, and others were born later. And these ancient gods, Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman, Bhaga, all those, they belong to those Bhrigu, Bhargavas. Actually, it's quite interesting. He is Bhargava also. He is Bhrigu Rishi in a way. Yeah? He belongs to Bhargava family because Bhrigus were those ancient rishis of Soma Yagas. No, I'm now kind of making reference to the Veda. Maybe it's not important here, but it's quite interesting that he, among Kavis, he also embraces him. He includes him into his Vibhutis.
Is there an
Danda,
occult? Is there an occult clash between the Jupiter and the Venus in the person or something, or is it just on the basis of Vedas or something?
I think there is some basic psychological difference between the two. The Venus usually has this, sensual enjoyment of life, and all connected to it: music, enjoyment, life, also sexual enjoyment. Well, we know this as Veneric diseases coming from Venus, actually. All that is connected to Venus in some way, that it was the foundation of creation before the inner being, the presence in the heart was discovered. And that presence in the heart is actually Brihaspati, yes? With 7 flames, 7 tongues, and who are the 7 rishis who form the word, who create the word. And so between these two, one is the power within the Kundalini center in the Muladhara, which is rising from below, that Shiva Lingam, that power of procreation in nature. Yes? And the other is the power which is rising from the heart. And between these two, there is a clash, psychological clash between the psychic love for the divine and the drive which seeks satisfaction in nature. Fundamental difference. Mother says between these two types of love, there is an abyss between the sexual drive and seeking for satisfaction and between the love which is rising from the heart, from the psychic. Nearly nothing in common, as it were. And between Vishnu, who is this power in the heart later described as that formation of the psychic, supported from above, because it is the projection from the Jivatma into the heart. and between this drive from below, who represents this Agni, which is rising, which is inbuilt in nature, and he is the son of Rudra. Between Rudra, Shiva, and Vishnu, there is a constant battle. In Puranas, they are fighting for 1,000 years. They have a war between Vishnu and Shiva. Can you imagine? Well, this is all symbolic because these two powers cannot reconcile. There is no reconciliation between the two. I'm sure there's something interesting for psychologists, since Don is here, most probably for him would be interesting. How he would see these two powers, how to reconcile between the two. But this is what we are made of, with this kind of opposition of two different drives in us, two major drives. One is the drive, sexual drive, which is actually giving life force to our nature. Yes, that Ayurveda considers this drive to be the major drive of our longevity. Yeah? That drive, Ayu, that life force, which is inbuilt in the sexual center, actually, which is the source of our longevity. And it seems that even genetically, I discussed this with Anna, she said even genetically there is a certain limitation within genetic expansion of energy within this drive, which determines your years of life. Yeah? Strangely enough, once that energy is exhausted, then life is vanishing, yeah? Falls apart. And there is another drive in the heart, in the psychic, which is very different. Both are there. In esoteric history, it is known as the first cult, the cult of the Purusha sacrifice, where we were sacrificing our bodies. Animals, we sacrifice the bodies to achieve a new quality in the incarnation. So to say, by the efforts, by tapasya, by the conscious concentration and effort within the nature, we achieve a new quality. This is what we do even now. If you want to achieve certain quality, you will be kind of persevere in particular exercise. Do you want to become super pianist? You will play 10 hours a day. You want to become violinist? You play violin from 6 years of age till you are 30, every day. And that sacrifice gives the result. So it is the concentrated effort within the nature, this old-fashioned sacrifice. And there's another sacrifice, which is from the heart, surrender, love to the divine, not claiming anything to be, giving oneself totally to the divine and receiving whatever divine may give us. Yeah? Wanting to be only that what divine wants us to be, not claiming anything of your own. Between these two, there is an abyss. They cannot go together for some reason, Mother says. I do not know whether it makes sense to you. There are too many things maybe mentioned here. But that is about Ushanakavich. Yes? He is that drive in nature. So in that drive in nature, he is the teacher of those forces in nature which have to become the divine. Let us translate it in this
way. Vladimir, I think the mother talks about in the Sri Aurobindo Yoga about the psychic actually influencing the vital forces as it influences the mental and the physical. It has an influence on them. Is that your understanding too?
Yeah, I have to see your faces. I don't see you otherwise, so I switched over the text. I have to talk with you, yes. And yeah, there are many things here with yes, vital and physical is it's in the latter. I think it was described. Sri Aurobindo gave this explanation why Mother and Sri Aurobindo are together, because Sri Aurobindo represents the force from above, the mind, acting upon the mind and vital, and Mother represents the psychic, which is acting upon the vital and physical. And because of this, together they can bring the spiritual influence onto the physical through the psychic only. Otherwise, spiritual cannot reach to the physical. It hangs somewhere, it stops at the vital level and never touches the physical. It needs the intermediary psychic interference, so to say, call for transformation. Psychic transformation is to take place before the spiritual can be fully effectuated, yeah? In the physical also. But what she said about these two forces, about the drive from below and the call from within the heart, these two love forces, yes, because they are both love. But one love is seeking the pleasure in nature, the oneness in nature, the enjoyment in nature, yes, the drive from below, which is totally legitimate in the supramental sense, yes, but only in supramental sense, not in the divided consciousness. Then it becomes the sexual drive. And the other is seeking the fulfillment of the will of the divine here in every way, regardless to what that means in terms of pleasure or suffering or whatever. Yes, it takes everything as the blessing. So this is the psychic drive. And between them two, there is not much in common here in the divided in time and space atmosphere. But when the supramental will manifest, then they will be united. There will be no difference between them. They will be both complementary. But not until that time it will be a problem. And that's why we see in all the religions there is a denial of the sexual impulse, of the pleasures in life. You see it everywhere, in Christian traditions, in monks, in Buddhist tradition, in Hindus, all the sannyasis, they are all brahmacharis. Why? Because that drive is not complementary with this drive. Yeah? So you have to choose what to be in this divided state of consciousness, and can't claim them both. It's interesting. It's kind of psychology, I think for Don more than for me. It would be interesting to see what he thinks about it. I noticed that this is the issue. Yes, the issue is that this lower drive is always dragging us down. It is never uplifting us up, yeah? For some reason, because it was meant to give life to another life. Yeah? When this act of happening, then the Purusha dies out. Yeah? He gives away his essence, and he loses the energy, and that is the, as Mother says, it is the step towards death every time. It's the way to die and the way to prolong life in the physical. Amazing, yeah? How beautiful it was arranged. To give life in time forward, it was this. You have to give yourself away. You have to die for this. It's like the divine dies for us to live, as it were. Like here, the God does this to Adam from clay. Oh, he breathes out his life into Adam that he can breathe in and start living. So he has to breathe out, and breathing out is kind of dying, yeah, so to say, symbolically, of course, not dying totally. But this movement of breathing in and out within the physical is this. But the psychic love is of totally different nature. It is not coming from the mind or from the vital. It has its own connection with the unborn self. It's a projection of pure unborn self and has nothing to deal here with, so to say. It seeks only the divine. It is satisfied with and tries to find only the divine, rejecting everything else. So between these two, there is no compromise, it seems. There is another way of talking about this monkey child and kitten child. You remember, yes? So the monkey child is always holding to the monkey baby, holds the mother to the mother, and that is tapasya, this personal effort. But the kitten baby is carried by the mother, and it is up to the mother what happens. So between these two, Mother says there is no easy reconciliation.
Many times in Vedic astrology, it's considered like if Jupiter and Venus are in the same household, it's considered very auspicious. So I'm just wondering, maybe it's a part of that what the integral yoga tries to bring, like if they're both in the same household, like one is taking care of the matter aspect and the enjoyment and the other psychic, if both are motivated to give their best and both are giving their best in a process of higher something, like it's considered auspicious. So I'm just wondering, like maybe it's to bring in the both best of both and integrate it, like how it's seen in the supramental level or something.
Cannot interpret because you have to see many more things, and I am not Jyotishi actually, so you have to ask Jyotishi because you have to see all other planets where they are and how they play out. And nakshatras also. So it's a very complex situation, but yeah, it's quite amazing too. Yes. Sangeet, yes, correct. Every sexual act is a step towards death. And that's what Mother spoke. We know about this because we were all interested to know about these things, yes. How to deal with life, how to relate to it properly. We learn by experience also. We learn what it means. We know exactly what it means. We cannot fool ourselves in this regard. Especially those who try to move towards the divine. Right. Okay, so no more, yes? Don is not saying anything, yeah? Usually he should say something. He joined us, or Jen.
I thought as a new person, since you asked, it struck me. Didn't you echo? Okay. Even the
You
most.
hear the echo? You hear the echo?
Yeah, I do.
I don't know why.
Yeah, is that better? Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's it. Okay. Even the most ordinary superficial psychology, and the average person knows. Look at creative artists, scientists, even athletes. They know that channeling, so-called, the sexual energy into creativity changes dramatically. And I was thinking, the very opposite end, what Vladimir said so beautifully about at the supramental level, that you can seek that delight in nature because it's not different. You're not seeking something through difference. You recognize the divine in you and the divine in nature. And there's for the athlete, for the creative person, for the dedicated worker, there's a sort of uncomfortable, delicate sattvic balance at the human level. It's never fully integrated. But when there is that total self-giving to the divine, and the psychic has a chance to transform that, and oneness is recognized of the all-pervading divinity, then we no longer, it seems to me, we're going beyond ordinary psychology, going to integral psychology, and we recognize when there's only oneness, as the Upanishad says, where can there be suffering? Where can there be problems? That we find that delight within, without, all pervading. Very, very, very different from our ordinary psychology.
Yeah, thank you. Right, I will, yes. Yeah. I have, of course, many more thoughts, especially coming from the esoteric history. If you read history of the mystical Christians, mystics, yeah, they have their own history, which is quite interesting. That there was an ancient cult of the sacrifice of the body. Yeah? It was first those ancient traditions of Purusha sacrifice. That's when we give our body as the carrier of all the energy to the divine, and by the means of that tapasya, concentrated effort, we reach and realize some other quality here in nature. This was the drive. Yeah? But then the new presence in the heart was discovered later. Actually, the psychic discovery comes later in the evolution of consciousness. And Mother even mentions this, that in the Vedas they even didn't know about the flame in the heart. They discovered it. So this discovery which took place in the Vedic times was this flame in the heart. Totally new approach to the divine. You don't need to give your body anymore. You remember the story from Abraham, who tried to sacrifice his son, tied him to the stone. This is the same story. He was ready to kill, to slaughter his son. Then he hears the voice of the Lord saying, I don't need the body of your son. Bring me the lamb, pure lamb. So pure lamb is a symbol of the psychic love. It is no more the body which is required, no more this effort of the monkey holding and doing things right, yeah, according to the rituals, to the knowledge, to the occult knowledge, how to manage everything, that everything would work in the direction that we would acquire higher qualities. But it works through surrender, yeah? Surrender and self-giving, which is a totally new force, unknown to the ascetic who is controlling everything, every move, every thought, every, he is applying his will every time. And here you have to give yourself up and kind of totally. Surrender was his only strength. This is the line from Savitri. The only strength was surrender. That means the contact with the divine is established already. You can't surrender if the contact is not there. You have to have someone to whom you can surrender. And then it is the almighty force. Then you don't need to worry. You just follow it. You will be surprised how beautiful life may turn up. All right, I'm coming back to the text. So, Dando Damayatam Asmi, among the controllers or the tamers, I am the Danda, the punishment, literally, the stick. I am the mastery and power of all who rule and tame and vanquish, and the policy of all who succeed and conquer. Nitir aham, nitir asmi. Jigishatam. Jigishatam, of those who want to conquer, I am the niti. Niti is the politics or the policy. Policy in terms of kind of wisdom in behavior. Maunam chaivasmi guhyanam. Among all the secrets, I am the silence. Jnanam jnanavatam aham. And among the knowledgeable ones, I am the knowledge. He says, and the knowledge of the knower. of the knowers, of those who know. Yachapi sarvabhutanam bijam tad aham Arjuna. Yachapi sarvabhutanam bijam tad aham Arjuna. Natad asti vina yat syat maya bhutam characharam. That's quite beautiful. And I am the bija, the seed of all those beings, and without me there would be no being moving or unmoving. And whatsoever is the seed of all existences, that am I, or Arjuna, nothing, moving or unmoving, animate or inanimate in the world can be without me. There are footnotes here for bijam, seed, and for nothing. Let us look into these footnotes. The divine is the seed of all existences, and of that seed they are the branches and flowers. What is in the seed of self, that only they can develop in nature. So whatever is there in the seed, that can nature develop, nothing more. And number two, nothing, with whatever variety of degree in manifestation, beings are in their own way and nature powers of the Godhead. By the way, the whole chapter is about this, that all nature represents the divine. This chapter is mainly overlooked, yes, number 10. Everybody jumps either to chapter 11, where there is Vishvarupa Darshana, and chapter 10 is like, so what? So he tells that he is the heat in the fire and the knowledge in the knower, and so what? And we know it, it's kind of clear, but it is not, actually. It prepares some deeper understanding of the divine. It is everywhere, in all the activities, in all the forms and expressions, in everyone. I know we are so used to these words that it looks like nothing special, but it is profound. Yeah, you wanted to say something, Don? You have to switch on microphone and talk then.
Yeah. I had read the Gita for several years before I read Sri Aurobindo's translation and commentary, and this chapter had always confused me. And when he said, what Krishna is doing is he's saying, yes, I am all of nature, but in order to see me more clearly, you can find those examples which are preeminent will inspire you. I am more obvious in those. And suddenly the whole chapter came alive in a new way. That yes, of course the divine is everywhere, but if you aren't, totally awakened, you can find in the sun and the beautiful mountains and the sky and the flowers and the radiant smile of a child, this can inspire you. It's not more divine, it's just more evident. I found that very helpful, practically speaking.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you can see it also in the literature everywhere. It is what came to my mind when you were talking is this Henry V. You remember when or the fourth, I think it was, when he won the victory over Frenches. Yeah, there was 50,000 Frenches and 3,000 British, exhausted and wounded British were against 50,000 Frenches who were on the horses in the this. And when they won, and somebody rushed in and said, "Stop the war is finished," he thought they lost because there was no way to know, And then he hears that French is surrendered, and first thing what he says, "It is your victory, O Lord." Yeah, this is actually his victory. It's true. It's absolutely true. This kind of this perception of Henry the Fifth, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is a true perception. I wish I would remember in that moment of time him. Yeah, this is to see him everywhere in the most revealing moment of your life, to feel his presence. It wasn't just a tribute to him, it was something more than that, that phrase. It's first what came to him. Not that, hooray, we won or something. No, not like that. It's your victory, oh Lord. This is a great thing. This is Vibhuti. Vibhuti in the victory. As he says, among victories, I am the victory. It was recognized. And then it continues. Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam shrimad urjitam eva va tattad eva avagachatvam mama tejonsha sambhavam. Tejonsha sambhavam. Teja amsha sambhavam. If we split the words. Whatever beautiful and glorious creature thou seest in the world, whatever being is mighty and forceful among men and above man and below him, who, something here is messed up, be a very splendor light, who is to be full of, I do not know, it's some messed up because it's a transition from PDF from this picture. Know to be a very splendor, light and energy of me, and born of a potent portion and intense power of my experience. So basically, whatever beautiful or whatever true you experience or see in this life is coming as a portion of my becoming, my being, born from me, sambhavam, came into being from my amsha, from my portion of my tejas, of my splendor. The portion of my tejas. And this is something, actually. If we could see it or feel it really in our life, we would be approaching it quite differently. Athava bahuna itena kim jnatena tavarjuna vishtabhyaham idam karitsnam ekanshena sthito jagat. Athava bahuna etena sandhi. And thus by this many, let me read Shirabinda, and but what need is there of multitude of details? Bahunaitena kim jnatena. What is the purpose of knowing all this in many ways, Tavarjuna, for you, O Arjuna? Take it thus, that I am here in this world and everywhere. I support this entire universe with an infinitesimal portion of myself. So the whole world is supported by infinitesimal portion of him. Vishtabhyaham idam kritsnam, having established all this literally, ekanshena, by one portion, sthito jagat, this world is staying, is steady.
There's a beautiful analogy that Krishna Prem in his commentary in the Gita says. He says that up to the first 9 chapters, Arjuna has been hearing that all the divine's everywhere, it's all the divine. He sort of heard it with his mind. And Krishna Prem says, imagine you're in one of those immense cathedrals in Europe with the most magnificent pipe organ imaginable. You're sitting at the organ, kind of, it's turned off, and you're kind of playing around with the keys, and suddenly someone turns on the organ and the space is filled with this luminous, radiant, powerful music, that this is what it's like for it. Suddenly the whole thing is lit up. It's real to him.
Mm. But even if we think from the point of view of physics, what a marvelous creation, music, universe, look at the sky, the stars, infinite stars. What could be more marvelous, actually? The sun, look at this luminous sun rising every morning. Is there some higher miracle than that? Even from any point of view, only our mind is making it small and habitual, so to say, that we are used to it. From every point of view, it's a divine creation. Everything, our thoughts, our noble thoughts, poetry, and so on. Yes, Siegfried.
Yes, excuse me. Krishna is saying he's Prakriti or he's Prakriti and Purusha at the same time?
He's Vibhuti in Prakriti. Prakriti is his power manifesting him in many forms. And why Vibhuti is interesting. So he is not everything. Yes? He is the knowledge of the knower. He is the heat in the fire. He is the light in the sun. So he is the quintessential quality of whatever nature can produce. Revealed. She tries to reveal him always, and whatever she does, she's kind of looking for him and tries to manifest him, and all her attempts are his vibhutis, yes, to reveal himself in nature. And it is his force, yes. I do not know. I am not answering your question, yes? You want to know whether they are together. Of course they are together. Without him, I exist not. Yes, she exists not without him. And without me, he is unmanifest. And without nature, he is not manifested. So he needs her to manifest himself. She works for him. It is his power.
So
Actually, it is him. Mother says that it is this, there is no Purusha in Prakriti. She was very furious with this idea. She didn't like it. Yes, Doug.
So are you saying that the Bhutis are the Purusha manifested through Prakriti as the essential qualities of the divine?
Yes, for now it is as essential qualities, and when supramental will be here, then there will be all qualities will be revealed.
Okay.
In her.
So this condition that we see here all around us for billions of years, where there are some qualities that manifest the divine more fully than others, and those higher manifestations we call the vibhutis, that's just a temporary condition until the supramental brings all qualities of manifestation to their fullest expression.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I think
Okay,
so.
so it's a good working assumption.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And you see, it also justifies something which I was always curious about this world. For example, why he offers to Arjuna to go to the battle, and if he dies, if he will be killed, he will go to heaven. If he wins, he will enjoy the victory and the spoils of victory and the kingdom as a king. So why this? He gives two choices, and for him both are equal. It's quite amazing. I also always was thinking, you see, death is inevitable for now. In this particular formation, we must face death, but how we will face it? So there are choices. Yeah, you can face it in raising your inner qualities, these qualities of the divine in us. And once they are raised in us, then dying is the direct ticket to heaven, as it were. Yeah?
Mhm.
You will get a push, strong push towards evolution of consciousness in the future.
Yeah, as
So
long as he
it's a,
dies in his dharma.
yeah, it's a great advantage of it to die in the battle. Yeah? It's a great advantage. It is in many cultures. You can see it in samurai culture.
Mm.
Yeah? It's an honor to die, to overcome fear, to overcome this kind of, holding on to the selfishness. To this overcoming is revealing this divine quality in action. And this revelation of this quality means everything for this manifestation. So here we are.
Yes, but this is if you focus in the liberation, but if you are focusing to the transformation, it's not like that. This is what I think.
No, but since transformation is also requiring these higher qualities, and since death is inevitable, these qualities which you acquire overcoming fear of death and dying in the battle is not mukti. It's far from it. Mukti is something else. It's like you stop acting within the world. You deny the activity. You withdraw from the activity. It's like some kind of escape, as Sri Aurobindo says. Escape brings not the victory and the crown. Yeah? So this kind of running away from the dangers of life, from the qualities of the divine in life, withdrawing, vairagya. What is vairagya? Is to make the world kind of void of the passions, of the qualities about which he speaks here as vibhutis. You are not participating in manifestation anymore. You are withdrawing to find that unborn self in you. It's some kind of, it's a paradox, of course. Don't want to belittle that attempt because it's very important to find unborn self in us. But if it is the only, then it becomes an excuse. And I've seen too many people of taking this excuse not to be courageous and truthful in life. I've seen it in myself, this cowardness, which makes me stagnate somewhere in the name of some kind of spirituality. It's an inner battlefield, yes, but will you reveal the divine quality or not? Are you drawn to it to the extent that you can't leave it? You can't resist it anymore. Sri Aurobindo says somewhere about these eternal dharmas. He uses this word, eternal dharmas, such as sincerity, humility, courage. Courage is the eternal dharma. Yeah? Once you experience it in life, you will be always drawn to it, because the delight of it is so profound that it is greater than death. You want to have it again.
Yes, but Sri
I
Krishna.
think the question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was going to say in chapter 6, verse 35, Krishna answers Arjuna. Arjuna complains that the mind is too hard to control. And Krishna says, Abhyasena tukanteya vairagyena chagrihite. By abhyasa, that's practice, and vairagya, detachment, is the translation I'm looking at. By attachment and spiritual practice, one learns to control the mind. So Krishna he doesn't totally object to vairagya. He just says he limits it to its application is to control the mind and not trying to reject all physical activity.
Yes, absolutely. It's karma yoga section. Yes,
Yes.
there is an effort which has to be made in order to come to that state from which there will be another effort. The change of attitude will
Yeah.
be made. Yes, Sri Aurobindo also speaks about the change of attitude in his yoga. To a certain extent, there will be one attitude, then there will be another attitude. Yeah? So before you arrive at the contact with the divine where you can surrender, you need to make a lot of your personal effort.
Yeah.
And yes, absolutely. I know it sounds like contradiction because we speak about this in time. We discussed
Yeah.
one topic, now you shifted it into the other. And
Aha.
so
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
created another context in which that what I said about Vairagya does not make sense
Right.
anymore.
Right.
So, which is totally logical and
Yeah, but that's completely consistent with the way Sri Aurobindo talks about sannyas, and that it's not rejection of the outer activity as has been misinterpreted for thousands of years and causing, thousands of otherwise potentially productive young men to go off and become sannyasis instead of productive members of society. But sannyas is very important in terms of the inner control, the inner renunciation of the ownership of action.
yeah,
So
we
it's
are
just-
back to the karma yoga now. The karma
Yes.
yoga is not bhakti yoga where we are here now. Bhakti yoga is to see the divine in every movement of nature, in every revelation. It's something else, like Mirabai or Tulsidas.
Yeah.
So they saw Krishna in the cloud, in the sky, in the wind. Yeah, but here, this what you are saying is a different type of yoga, where the withdrawal sannyasa, renunciation, and effort at the same time. So effort without the desire, without the attachment to the fruit of action, is the driving kind of discipline, yes, which makes things work till the moment comes and you start seeing the divine everywhere and realizing. Then I think even then it continues, but not so kind of exclusively. Yes, there are other elements entering into the making kind of sense. I think there is a change in attitude. Sri Aurobindo spoke about this to Pavitra also. He said that now you do this, but there will be, with awakening of the psychic, the change of the attitude. And they have to speak about this later. Oh, we are over time. I'm so sorry. I just didn't notice even that time is over already. So we are carried away with these discussions. I am very glad that Jan and Dawn joined us. It is a great honor, and we could really learn more from the Gita together. Thank you, everyone, for these beautiful expressions of your own experiences and thoughts. And this is important. We need to learn together. It's a study group. I'm here only leading you into the text, so to say. Sanskrit scholar who knows the text. All right, I will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.